Some people find that when they use marijuana they get more worried, but that doesn't sound
Oh,
like your experience.
no, never been worried or nervous or stressed when I've been with my mates and smoking. So I suppose that's why I do it with them, just to chill out on the weekends.
Okay. Have you been feeling that you're especially important in some way, or that you've got special powers to do things?
No, not really, that hasn't happened.
Okay, and have you been feeling that there's anything odd going on with your body that you can't explain?
No.
That your body's changed in any ways? No? What about feeling guilty or that you deserve punishment? Does that come up for you at all with these thoughts? No?
No.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, sometimes at work I feel that just with my stuff up, so I think that, you know, the boss will catch me out and he'll find me out and that I will get punished, but yeah, I don't actually feel the need that I need to be punished or anything like that.
Are you very religious, Nick? Have you had any religious experiences?
No, not really.
Okay. And do you have a girlfriend?
I used to a couple of years ago, but I can't be bothered looking after one at the moment.
Another area that I need to ask you about is the area of perceptions, what you see and hear, that kind of thing. So I'm wondering if you've noticed any changes in your vision. Do you are things looking different to you?
No, I needed glasses. I needed to get glasses.
Yeah.
So things were getting a bit blurry. But
so glasses have improved your vision?
Yeah.
In more recent times, has there been a change in the way things look to you?
No.
The colours brighter?
No, that's all the same.
Anything like that?
Yeah.
Okay, and what about in hearing things? Have you been hearing things that other people can't hear?
No.
Any changes to the way you perceive sound at all?
No.
No. Any strange sensations in smell? Smelling strange things or things smelling different? No. And I asked you whether you had any strange sensations on your skin, whether you've felt things crawling on your skin or underneath your skin?
No.
Anything like that? No? And what about your ability to communicate with people, Nick? Have you felt like you're able to communicate clearly, that people understand what you're saying? You're able to get your message
Never
across?
really had problems with that. No.
Okay. Do you have trouble finding the correct word to use at all?
Sometimes. I mean, I'm not the best at English, so sometimes I can't find the right. I'm thinking of the word that I used or I heard a couple of days ago, and I just can't think of it at the time. I think of it later on sometimes, but so sometimes I have trouble finding the right word, but it doesn't happen very often.
It doesn't happen very often. It's not something that you're really worried about?
No.
Okay.
They still understand what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Do you ever have the feeling that you go off on tangents and that people don't follow what you're on about?
No.
No? So do you think your activity level has dropped off a bit? Are there things that you used to do that you don't do now?
Well, I mean, I always used to go out with my friends, go out drinking, go out clubbing and go to the gym with them. But since work has started, I really haven't been in the mood to do anything like that. So I haven't been in the mood to go out with them.
So does that mean you're not going out at all now?
Sometimes they drag me out. Like a lot of the times I don't want to go, but sometimes they just drag me out. And when we actually go out, I have a great time with them. So it's like nothing.
So you are able to still enjoy yourself at times, but it's a bit hard to get yourself going.
Yeah, I just feel like I don't have the energy and just don't want to do it anymore.
Okay.
Unusual thought content. Nick receives a 0 for unusual thought content, as he does not answer positively to any of the questions. Non-bizarre ideas. He does rate on the non-bizarre ideas subscale, however, because of the experiences he has been having at work lately. He receives a global score of 5 for his persecutory ideas, feelings that other people know that he is bad at his job. As he has experienced these thoughts about strangers on the train, it is highly unlikely that they are true. However, these thoughts are not held with delusional conviction, as he is able to question these thoughts. Thus, the intensity is not as high as a score of 6. These thoughts have resulted in Nick taking some time off work, hence they have resulted in some change in behaviour. They are not very easy for Nick to dismiss, which means that the intensity is not as low as a score of 3. Because these thoughts occur most days when he is at work and last for more than 1 hour, he rates a frequency and duration score of 4. Perceptual abnormalities. Nick states that he needed glasses. However, he does not report experiencing any perceptual abnormalities, so for this subscale, he rates a 0. Disorganised speech. Nick reports that he sometimes has trouble finding the correct word at the right time. However, people still understand what he is saying, so he rates a global score of 2 for disorganised speech. He said that this does not happen very often, so he rates a frequency and duration score of 1. Nick meets the PACE intake criteria for Group 2, the attenuated psychosis group. He also meets the drop-in functioning criterion.
Well, you've seen the video, you've seen how Nick was assessed at being at ultra-high risk of becoming psychotic. I don't know what you thought, but I thought the evidence was so flimsy. It was basically 3 things. The first was that Nick had those thoughts that others might have been talking about him on the train, strangers talking about him on the train. He was immediately able to put those thoughts behind him. He was immediately able to recognise that they're absurd thoughts, so I don't think we should put any particular store in that. The second piece of evidence was because Nick perceived that his workmates might have thought that he's bad at his job. Well, Nick thinks he's bad at his job, and I don't think that it's so unreasonable to actually have that level of self-awareness. I mean, I've had jobs that I've not been particularly skillful at in the past, and I'm sure that my workmates have been acutely aware of my deficiencies. The third piece of evidence, and this is the one I found most absurd, was the idea that up to once a month Nick finds it difficult to find the appropriate word in conversation. That happens to me on at least a daily basis, and I hardly think it's evidence that I'm about to become psychotic. I do think we also need to be very concerned, not just about the robustness of the diagnosis, but the effect that it has on an 18-year-old's self-esteem to be told that you're at ultra-high risk of becoming psychotic. To be told that you're in imminent danger of becoming psychotic, I think has a very real danger of putting young people on a pathway towards self-fulfilling low expectations. We do need to be, in my view, very concerned about the evidence base that lies behind this whole ultra-high risk proposal. The most prominent proponent of the concept of ultra-high risk is Professor Patrick McGorry. And if you have a look at so much of Professor McGorry's claims and the independent evidence, the two things simply don't stack up. Patrick McGorry is a very talented media performer, a very effective lobbyist, and his status as a former Australian of the Year has allowed many of his claims to basically go unchallenged. And I think it's time we started to look at the evidence base that lies beneath his claims. I also think we can't dismiss his history of experimenting with and advocating the use of antipsychotics as a means of preventing those perceived as being at ultra-high risk of psychosis going on to become psychotic. He's experimented with them in the past, and he's advocated them in the past. He now argues that it should not be a first-line treatment, but he does leave the door open for the use of antipsychotics as a second-line treatment for those perceived to be at ultra-high risk. All of that might make sense if we could reliably predict who was going to go on and become psychotic, but we can't. Even Professor McGorry acknowledges that the vast majority of those perceived as being at ultra-high risk in fact never develop psychosis. I am very concerned about the evidence base of these proposals, and I'm very concerned now, having had a look at the training video, about the robustness of the diagnostic criteria. And I think these programs that are being proposed for rollout across Australia need to be subject to a long and hard scrutiny of the evidence base that underlies them. Because frankly, I think if you look at it closely, the evidence doesn't stack up, and if you look at it closely, the claims simply don't pass the common sense test.